Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Stupid O'Clock. I'm Dan Hollifield. I'll be your official Joe Bishop for tonight. Joe Dog is a little bit under the weather, so we are handling things as best we can, and let's just get on with the show. And here we go. We've got several folks here. We've got John, Bill, Josh, and Stephanie. Yay!
Intergalactic woman of mystery.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You gotta say yay like Kermit the Frog. Yay!
If I do that, I'll knock my green screen down.
I know. There goes Dan's headset across the room.
Pretty much, yeah. It'll be a cat toy in a minute. Oh.
You know, unless the weather is below 5 feet, Joe's always under the weather. So
Not touch it.
see, somewhere in a house in Red Bank, or Lupton City, Tennessee, somebody just spit a flu pill across the room.
Oh, Josh just spit smoke out. It's Josh Kemp as Puff the Magic Dragon tonight on Stupid O'Clock.
So if I had a drink in my mouth, I'd have spit that beer out of my mouth.
Really, you'd be owing somebody a monitor and a keyboard there, John.
No, I don't have my laptop back here.
This
No,
is not
I
a Tennessee
made the
Mule
mistake.
tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just some wine. This just happened to be the handy mug.
Well, dang.
It's that root beer, butterscotch root beer. How does
That's
that
my
taste?
butterscotch root beer. It's pretty good.
Here we
That's
not
an
go.
bad.
interesting concept. That one of which I was previously unaware. And your fan
Bill.
club is here, Bill. Sarah says hi.
I love the butterscotch soda that they have, the butterbeer type stuff that they have.
Here we go. Bill getting all jacked up on caffeine tonight.
And I got a Coca-Cola chaser. I wished it was the Mexican Coke with real cane sugar instead of the high fructose corn syrup, but we'll
You
see
go
how
put
the
that
high
thing right back in the fridge. That's some dangerous drinks for you, boy.
we'll see how the high fructose corn syrup affects Bill Sarton tonight.
I had to go to Walmart and do some shopping to get rid of some gift cards we got for the holidays. And while I was, I just can't think of anything I absolutely have to buy at Walmart. So if I get $150 in gift cards, I'm wandering around aimlessly for like 2 hours. But I figured I'll go check out the beer section, see what they got. And of course, they've got all the mundane beers and stuff like that. So I didn't buy any beer at Walmart. But just as I was getting ready to leave the beer aisle, I saw this.
Oh, yes.
Oh man,
It's actually not bad.
I've never seen that.
It's a little bit better quality than the generic white can that just says beer.
Okay. I haven't tried this yet, but the other one they had that really scared me, they have the emergency drinking beer people have a peach flavored beer.
Yeah, I'd find that pretty.
That sounds
pretty
good.
great myself, yeah.
That sounds pretty good.
I'll pass.
I ain't that tempted. Sorry.
No.
You're not a fruity type.
No, not at all.
You
Hey,
know, I'll
Blue
drink
Moon
a
with the
Bellini.
orange.
A
Cerveza with the
Bellini is
lime.
really,
That's
really
about
good,
it. Yeah.
but you're not getting me to drink peach flavored beer. I'm sorry.
No. The closest I'm going to get to that's a Corona and a slice of lime.
Peach pea comes to mind when I hear that.
Oh,
This works.
well, I think it was Friday night in the green room. I finished off a bottle of the Irish Mist honey liqueur. It lasted me for about 3 weeks, and usually back in the day that wouldn't last 3 days. Let me tell you. Ooh.
Yeah. I take a sip of it every night. I don't get laid.
Well, you ain't gonna get laid tonight.
Probably not.
Miss Stephanie, how you doing tonight?
Cold.
Yes.
ma'am.
Oh yeah,
It
you're
is
you're
very
gonna get
cold.
that cold
We
air.
have
before we do.
Ryan
It's
Hermes.
Hi,
already
Ryan.
30 here.
I said
What's
it
up,
right
Ryan?
that time, damn it.
We
I was waiting for him to say it the way he did before.
That was an accident. I did not mean to say that. It's just dyslexia. You read the words, but they don't say what you think they say. You know.
You got to
Yeah,
interpret your own way.
yeah, well, those letters just kind of dance around on their own without. And that's kind of a weird thing for a writer to have. But most of my typos are completely honest.
Oh yeah. Stephanie, did we not predict that volcano would erupt again last
well,
week?
I don't recall exactly what we said, but we were.
We
I don't think either one of us were particularly. Um,
I didn't think it would happen the next day after we predicted
well,
it.
yeah.
Aren't-
I don't think either one of us were particularly in agreement that it wasn't going to erupt again. I mean, that was
Don't,
just kind of a stupid
don't
thing. for me to
underwater
say.
volcanoes tend to re-erupt more because of the water or something like that?
Well, it's
It
not necessarily.
depends. It depends on how it go ahead, Steph.
Oh no, it's more a case in this instance of the fact that it erupted tells me that the plates are on the move, and so there's been some subduction and melting that have finally worked their way up to the surface.
Mhm.
So
now
I was
everybody
about to
knows
say,
what
it
Tonga
also
is.
depends on how what is it called, the cauldron, or how it
Caldera,
collapsed.
Caldera. Yeah.
yeah,
How it collapsed too. If the water gets into that, that'll make
yeah,
more
Yeah.
eruptions happen.
And just as an absolute layman, I would think, all of that would determine on how fast the magma chamber refills and the pressure builds up again.
Yeah.
to a certain extent,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, the thing you have to realize is, even at those depths, water is not concrete.
Hmm.
And so you think about the magma chamber being hot liquid concrete, and that's the kind of pressure, and then puts a fair amount of fizzy lifting drink in there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Yes.
what you've got. So,
Oh.
but yes, an underwater volcano is going to be more explosively eruptive, just because you've got steam explosions going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let me show y'all this real quick.
Any new sketches that we can expect this year, Bill? Bill does new stuff all the time. We're lucky he shares the old stuff with us too, because it's pretty good.
Well, let us know what you like to see, Ryan.
Steph, when did you say you might be able to join? Might be able to join our podcast, the weather podcast,
What
one night.
what day of the week is it?
It's Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6:30.
Now remember,
Central.
6:30 is Central Time for her. You okay?
Yeah, Central Time, 6:30 Central.
I mean, she's a rocket scientist. She can do time zones, but
You know what? Pretty much you let me know. Not necessarily. How long does it last?
As long as you want it to last.
I could probably.
We tried for a half
We
an
tried,
hour
yeah,
tonight, but we went a little over.
Yeah, I was about to say we tried for 30 minutes, but yeah, we went for an hour tonight. But
I could probably do it on Tuesdays, but not necessarily on Thursdays.
okay,
Because I got to call my folks at some point. They're elderly, and I need to check on them.
okay.
And if I'm going to do this show on Thursdays,
yeah, you
then
mean
I
Yes,
can't
be
do
on
your
Tuesday.
show because I got to call them sometime.
Okay.
So how does this weekend snowstorm look?
The models are all over the place on that crap.
Yeah,
Okay.
they don't know what's going to happen.
So
It's got my head hurting even trying to figure it out.
I got some D20s back here. I'll just roll something and make it up.
That's
Well,
about
right
it.
now, North Carolina and West Virginia are the ones that's got to worry the most because theirs is freezing rain and sleet,
No,
eventually changing
Bill.
over to snow.
No, it's all snow right now, Bill.
It is all snow right now.
Yes.
Okay.
You
Because
was
earlier
you
they
was
were
just-
predicting it changing
you-
over later.
Bill, you was just on a podcast with us, and we showed you it was all snow.
Yeah.
What are they calling for here in northern Alabama? Good question.
Your guess is good as mine.
Okay. Roll those dice.
6 foot of
Yeah.
snow.
Yep.
Roll those
Roll.
dice. man.
Snake eyes. It's
Yeah.
going to be 70 degrees on Friday. No.
And well, that's like the eastern part of Georgia. I mean, it's
Yeah, they've been saying snow on Friday, low of 20 something, and then in the mid 40s on Saturday and almost 50 degrees on Sunday. And I'm going, y'all just love 3-card Monte, don't you?
hey, Donna.
Once again, 48 hours out, you can't really go. I mean, once you get within that time frame, then the models become more clear what ones you're going to be able to follow or not. But, you know, if you're 72 hours or more, it's really hard to tell. It is a guessing game. And you might as well roll the dice.
No, the thing is, southern snowstorms or wintry weather. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Are a whole lot different than northern snow or wintry weather.
The only part that worries me is that we've been getting rain for the past 2 days. So
Yes,
if it turns off cold tomorrow and starts
it's
snowing,
gonna be freezing.
it's going to be another day that you do not
Trees are
be
gonna
on
fall.
the road. Well-
Trees are gonna start falling, and
Power lines snapping.
Well,
Yes.
it depends on whether or not the ice is a big part of it or a tiny part of it. Like last week, we didn't have any trees down here. Didn't
That's
really
big.
have that many branches fall last week, but we had a good 3-4 inches of light, fluffy snow, and that's about it.
my buddy in Delaware, he damn, that was good. I'm gonna have to buy a bottle of that. He had I think you might have liked that picture in the weather group. I don't know if you've seen it or not, Dan.
Well, if it came up on Facebook, I did like it because those are some pretty pictures.
He had like a over 6 inch branch tree limb falling power lines. What was it last night before last, up in Delaware?
Well,
And that-
some
and that's-
friends of mine in Atlanta had a tree come down somewhere near them and knock their power out for a while. So, it just depends on where you are and what builds up right there.
And see, they wasn't supposed to get snow today up there. It was supposed to be all rain, and he got snow all day today while he was working.
Mm.
And the United States, their geographic models, their weather models are so far behind the European models. And Steph can probably back me on this, especially with winter weather.
Mm-hmm.
Is that new math?
Yes.
That's probably part of it.
Just say no to metrics.
No, I don't know about metric. I mean, it's just
It's just that I don't know
I
what
liked
it
it
is.
better when it was carry the 3, you know?
No.
Yeah.
Ounces, not liters.
Actually, it's a whole lot easier to run the calculations in metric.
Yeah.
I've been known to convert to metric, run the calculations, and convert back to English.
Mm-hmm. I have a great big chart made up as an Excel spreadsheet at work where I can convert back and forth between a lot of things. and there are bits and pieces of the sheets that I use to turn into my supervisor, where I've got stuff that ran the calculations the easy way and then converted it, and then put in the metric measurements for the European engineers so that they can understand it without having to run a conversion themselves. The things you do when you're bored.
Hmm.
Algebra. I do
Hey,
algebra when I'm bored.
that's what I
I
do.
don't.
That's what I do when I'm up all night, writing uh, weather maps.
Um, Whenever another author comes to me and says, I've got a science question, I break out my notepad and pencil.
Mm.
Because I know I'm going to be cranking numbers sooner or later. So,
Steph, do you still write uh, maps out by hand?
um, what my
Yeah,
manuscript?
yeah.
Um,
Weather maps, like
it
low
it
pressures and high pressure.
oh the maps.
Yeah.
By hand, no, I don't.
Okay.
I never have done that. I'll
It's fun. Hey, I promise you, it's fun. Takes up time. Keeps me up all night.
Yeah, so is long division, or so I've been told.
Yes.
but
There's some
not
Oh,
long
something
division and some physics involved.
something else I never did unless I had to was when I was programming, when I was taking programming of different sorts. I never did a flow chart.
ah,
I'd work it out in my head the way it needed to go, and then I'd sit down and I'd write it. And more often than not, I wrote it in a modular fashion. So I'd write, here's a do loop, and here's a refer back to the beginning. Okay, here I've got my formatting stuff, and then I'd put it all together,
hmm
which is kind of the way I write books these days.
I remember back when I was just out of college, and my roommate was my buddy Jim Parnell. It was the guitar player that was teaching me how to play bass, and he was doing computer programming with a minor in geology. So he would have to sit there and do all these flow charts and things to get his programs to work. Because back then, computer took up half a room. So yeah, I mean,
I
we're
was
not
writing,
talking a TRS-80 here. This was a
yeah,
big old thing.
I was running stuff on mainframes,
Yeah.
and had to write. So was fortunate that I did, because some of my um, some of my graduate work I wound up having to develop programs um, in order to all right. Some variable stars are periodic in nature.
hmm
Um, they're not nice, neat sine waves most of the time. I was working on spotted variable stars. And so you might have data that once you plotted it out, you'd have, there's a star, there's a dip. Over here, there's another dip. There's another dip. Is that the same spot, or have I got multiple spots? Well, I wound up writing a program that, as far as I know, I guess they still use it, called a periodogram plotter. And I used that on several of the databases for various stars to determine the periods and how many of what I had. So
So
that was
it would actually match up the drop
It
in the
it picked up
dimness,
yeah,
picked up the
and try and pick up whether or not that was a
yes,
repeating pattern or several repeating patterns.
right.
the algorithm would pick up if it went off line, right?
Yeah, the algorithm, basically what it does, it starts trying different lengths
Yeah,
until it starts matching a pattern.
right.
And once it matches a pattern, it checks to see if there are um, uh,
Different
harmonics
harmonics.
of
Yeah.
of that period. And so then it will tell you, it will spit out a chart with a nice, neat um, light curve on it.
The orbit.
Yeah, not the orbit, but the light curve. You know,
Yeah.
brightness against time. Let's see, this is showing me backwards. So brightness against time.
Yeah.
So
So it could actually pick out if there were two overlapping patterns if it had enough data.
yeah, if it had
It
enough data.
should. Yeah,
Oh,
I'd say it
good.
should.
So
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna call you mom now since you got mom there.
Rocket Mama. Yeah.
What school did you go to, if you don't mind me asking?
I did my undergraduate work at Austin P State up in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Yeah, I know exactly where that's at.
I did my graduate work at Vanderbilt.
Okay. You went to Vanderbilt. You got you got it all down.
Well,
Now
Vanderbilt,
he's gonna pick on you about football.
I
Yeah,
went.
they can't play anything but basketball up there. But
No joke. Not joking. Um, I went on an assistantship, a graduate assistantship.
you should have came. Why didn't you come to Alabama? And you could have did some great work down here.
Alabama didn't have a graduate program in astronomy at the time.
Well, we got this great telescope down here.
Well, you do now. You didn't then. You got to remember, I'm some older than you are, dear.
Oh, I apologize.
Oh, that's all right. But no, Alabama did not have, Tennessee did not have. I looked at all of the major schools, and the closest one that had anything approximating what I wanted was Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt had a graduate program in astronomy.
Okay.
So,
I forget, how many degrees do you have, Stephanie?
15.
I know it's like 4 majors and a bunch of minors.
it depends on how you count it. I've got graduate and undergraduate degrees in astronomy, physics, chemistry, mathematics. Graduate and undergraduate, an undergraduate minor in geology, and a graduate subspecialty in geology, and
I was just about to ask about geology. So.
and what was the other thing?
I mean, you can go look for rocks.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, my whole family were rock hounds, and some of our family vacations were going to this or that gemstone mine. So it was kind of fun.
Mr. John, I got a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Here it comes.
I know this ain't supposed to be political. What do you think
Oh,
about? No, this is really not political. What do you think about the Ukraine situation right now?
I think Russia wants to take another bite out of Ukraine like they did a couple of years ago.
Just want to take another piece out of it.
Mm-hmm. And eventually they'll get the whole country.
Yeah.
My take is, and my take has no all right, you're not restarting in the middle of the show. Has no particular political bias within the US at all, but I think that Putin wants to reconstruct the USSR.
Yeah, I mean that's his whole goal is take the East, make the whatever it's called, the Balkans.
I'm trying to.
Dude, hold your camera steady.
Sorry, I was sitting a beer down.
There's two things that are going on right now, and I'm not sure where on the scale we're at. One, Russia's trying to intimidate the Ukraine into staying out of NATO. Two, they've already taken a big chunk of Ukraine, mainly in the Crimea. Yeah. And I think they think they can just bully their way in there and nobody do anything about it.
Oh yeah.
And they may be able to.
Oh, they will.
If there's one thing that Russia seems to have trouble learning is that people with RPGs like to shoot back at them. You think they'd have figured that out in Afghanistan?
Afghanistan, yes, I knew that was coming.
Well,
That should have been a learning experience right there,
Hey.
and it should have been a learning
I think
experience for the
did.
US as well.
I read something that France flew in some weapons
Mhm.
to them. So, am I not wrong about that?
The United States or France sent them a bunch of anti-tank missiles. The United
Yeah.
States sent a bunch of missiles in today. Spain is getting ready to reinforce their contingent, their NATO contingent in the Black Sea. They've already sent more ships. They're thinking about sending aircraft and running them out of Bulgaria, I think it was, or somebody else that doesn't like Russia.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Cut the list down a whole lot there, Joe.
it's easier to say
Yeah, B and
everybody
B.
doesn't like Russia except for, let me see, China, Iran, sort of Cuba, maybe North Korea.
I don't know. I've kind of been iffy about China.
No,
They might just be playing nice for a little while.
Russia and China have a history, and it's not a good one.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you know, they're doing naval exercises right now with
Yes.
Iran. Boy, you want to talk about
It's
lopsided navies.
It's the axis of evil.
Oh well.
It's like-
Those Russians are just mad because we introduced them to Levi's and Beatle records.
Oh,
Well, I mean, the
Lord,
only
the
way
things that were forbidden behind the Iron Curtain. My
the only
goodness.
way they survive is oil. Cut the oil off, they will not survive.
You know, I don't think they realize how many billions of dollars they will lose if they go into Ukraine and NATO says, we'll just shut off the oil money.
Mhm.
And when your army has to walk home, like it did from East Germany,
Back in the day.
because you can't afford to pay for them to get home, you know, that was.
Not all of them did.
I was stationed in Berlin when they just literally, it's like if any of the officers still had money, they literally went in and told their commander, I can't afford to stay here. Bye. Jump in their car and head back to Russia. And there were literally people raiding the barracks for equipment, military equipment, taking it down to the flea markets in Berlin and selling it to get money to get back home because they hadn't been paid in months. And they had officers from the U.S. Army and the Brits and the French and everybody were going to these. They gave them money to go on the weekends. They would go to these flea markets and buy the stuff that basically you shouldn't be able to find at a flea market, like anti-tank mines, surface-to-air missiles, old Russian night vision equipment.
Oh, you're talking about my garage again.
But we had this one lieutenant. He came back on Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning. I can't remember which. But in the trunk of his car, he had a little BMW. He pulled up in front of the barracks, and the EOD guys met him at our barracks. And he opened it up, and he had an SA-7 surface-to-air missile and 2 cases of anti-tank mines.
Okay.
He had bought the whole thing for $2,000 US.
This will look good hanging over the fireplace.
Well, no, he did a claim on it, and they paid him back for it. So, and then EOD came and took the stuff.
Yeah.
Did whatever EOD does with stuff like that.
Man, I could do some fishing and deer hunting with that rig.
Fish will float to the top.
All I need is a net, man.
The mines probably worked. The
Yeah,
missile probably didn't. So.
that's all right. It looked
Those
good on
things
the
didn't work.
fireplace.
Those things didn't work when they first built them. So.
Well, yeah, they built them. Oh Lord, quality control was not their strong suit.
I have had occasion to work with Russian equipment, and bless them, they tried at one point on one of the missions that I worked. Well, actually, I think they did. They got a piece of Russian equipment. It was a welder for space usage, and they got it certified to fly on the shuttle. That thing was scary. Oh my gosh.
Hey, we talking a gas welder or electric welder?
Um,
A
Both.
torch or a
best
welder?
way I kn- the bit not really a torch. The best way I know how to describe it would be more like a particle beam. So I guess electric, sort of,
Kind of like a MIG welder or something like that, where it does the
kind of,
plasma. Yeah.
yeah, kind
Oh,
of.
plasma. Yeah,
But
plasma.
there
Yeah,
was no. I mean, okay, remember we got these giant gauntlets of
yeah,
space
really.
that are basically balloons that are hand shaped. Okay,
And
and
nobody
so
bothered to modify the damn welding handset for the gloves.
there were no guards.
I was about to say welding in space be kind of scary because
There were
Yeah,
no
especially
guards.
if you're using something like a torch of some kind, because that's a reaction engine.
But there were no protective guards to keep your hands, your gauntlets away. There was nothing to stop you from forgetting yourself and swinging the thing and slicing open your suit or yeah. And we were all just kind of like,
let me guess, they came up with this bright idea after they did that. What was it? The Progress Pod. That
objects in mirror are closer than they appear.
that one. Yeah.
Uh-huh. We had a sign up in our control rooms where the cameras couldn't see it. Said objects in mirror may be closer than they appear. Yes.
Apparently they lost contact with one of the supply pods and it smacked the station hard enough to break several of these solar panels. And this thing has, Stephanie, you probably know more about it than I do, how big those solar panel arrays are on the International Space Station. Somebody said something that's like half a football field of solar panels.
I would not want to be anywhere near those if they were not rigidly stable.
And that pod apparently bounced off of a couple of them.
Oh Lord.
And they had to send somebody out in a spacesuit to sew this stuff back together.
Now mind, because now this was ISS, wasn't it, or was it
Yeah.
Mir? Oh,
That
it was
was
Mir.
It
It was
was
Mir. It
ISS.
was Mir.
Or was it Mir?
You can't do that the same way in ISS because remember we were talking last week about how they use SneakerNet on board and
Oh,
things don't plug into each other and stuff. It's so bad that basically it turns out that the solar panels on ISS build up an electric charge and they generate static.
Oh, okay. So
And so
they're supposed to generate electricity, but
yes, but no, they build up static, a huge static charge. And so periodically they would if they have to do maintenance on it. I don't know if it's still like that or not, but at the time I was working the program, if they had to do maintenance on the solar panels, they had to shut down the power, allow a given amount of time for the static charge to bleed off before they could send out an astronaut or cosmonaut, because otherwise they risked electrocuting them.
trying to remember. I wish a lot of this stuff bleeds together after a while, but I distinctly remember them talking about that one astronaut had to go out with like a big needle and thread and poke holes through some of the solar panel stuff and sew it back in place.
Well, depending on what they had it backed on, that I kind of wouldn't be surprised. I remember watching one of their manned launches, when I was sitting console, and I was literally sitting console working at the time. I was on shift, so I had the video up, and was watching it when I wasn't actually working. And so imagine what looks like a World War II era hangar out in the middle of an overgrown field. And all at once, the big doors open up, and here comes a train out of the hangar. And we're talking like, I kid you not, it could have been Thomas the steam engine, was not a modern engine at all. And it had one car behind it, and that was a flatbed car. And the rocket was on the flatbed. So they towed and they had the Russian officials in their big heavy coats and their big fur hats marching along beside it, very stately and very, yeah. So the train trundled this thing out into the middle of the field. And from time to time, you could see what looked like rusty pieces of equipment that had been chunked out here and there. And so there's a depression in the middle of the field. The train track goes down into the depression. The train stops, uncouples the flatbed with the rocket on it, and the train keeps going. So now they've got a crane to erect the rocket. And so they launched the rocket from there in the middle of this field with overgrown field. And then they rushed in fire equipment to put out the grass fires behind it. This was the state-of-the-art manned launch.
State of propaganda.
It was a state of something.
State of confusion.
Thank you, Bill. I was just groping for that. My brain would not put the phrase out.
You just got to do this every once in a while, Dan.
If I do that, my hair will look even worse.
And that's why I wear a hat.
Yeah, well.
I was tempted to wear one tonight because my hair is kind of a mess. Today was a bad hair day.
You're all good.
I've got this headset that I wear when I'm gaming or listening to music or something like that. And the pad that goes across the top here is memory foam.
Flattens your hair.
Which is really comfortable, but I don't know if you can see it. It leaves this dent in my hair.
It leaves a stripe sideways between your ears.
That won't wash out.
Got it.
Huh, okay. It leaves a fernadent.
Yeah, really. We've gone 40 minutes and that's our first spot, or did you kill some before, John?
I haven't killed any today.
Oh, that's the first one I saw.
40 minutes and got our first spot. We must be just scared the fuck out of it.
God.
Hey,
We're doing bad.
They must have heard Uncle Carl hangs out around here.
I was about to say I got Bill on my show now, and still haven't got a bot. No bot yet. Now I say that, but
hey, they're afraid Bill will draw a cartoon of them. Hong Kong Fooey smashing a Russian bot.
I've done political cartoons before. I can do them again. I think the last time I did was against Apple, and that was really pushing it.
no.
To do one against
no wonder
them.
you can't get Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
They done put your name on a list now.
Remember when Apple said that they were going to take over and you could only see all the Peanuts holiday animated specials on Apple TV?
And that people pitched a fit, and I was one of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And so I had to draw one, and that put it out there, and I don't really re-show those. If I've done a few of them.
Let me guess. It was Lucy and Charlie Brown in the I'm going to kick this football this
I'm
time.
going to kick the football and miss it.
and it was an apple instead of a football, and he actually connected.
Well, I can probably pull it up.
No, you might
I
not.
don't.
No, you might not want to do that.
Oh, sure, why not?
Okay.
The bots might like it. Because they
Facebook
say,
might
hey,
not.
hey, they stopped talking about Russia. Now they're talking about Apple. So we'll start seeing the bots in there again.
Yeah.
Just saying,
John,
Facebook.
I've got a question for you. Do you ever go to the camping gear section in a department store and just laugh at all the junk that's there? Because you've got experience with real camping gear.
You could ask me. You could have asked me that. Hell.
Some of it, yes, but I'll tell you a few that got me. I went to Walmart one time. I just happened to be looking through the camping gear section. You find all the neat little things like match holders, P38 can openers,
Yeah.
stuff like that. I was going through there, and they had this little thing. It was 5-pack of glow in the dark, or 4-pack, excuse me, the 4-pack of glow in the dark nylon
Snap
tent
sticks.
pins.
Nylon ink pins?
Tent pins.
Yep.
Tent pin. Oh, tent stakes.
Yeah, tent stakes. Tent pin. Well, they weren't stakes really; they were pins because they were thin. They weren't much thicker than a pencil, but a little longer. And they had a bright fluorescent yellow tip on top, and then the rest of it was glow in the dark.
Yep.
Plastic, nylon, something like that.
The part you put in the ground is glow in the dark?
In case you drop them at night while you're trying to put your tent up. Or if you wake up early in the morning, pull your tent down and can't find your tent pins after you pull them up. That sort of thing. And we had just had a class on marking pickup zones for medevacs. So we had, and everyone was trying to figure out how to get these VS-17 panels stay on the ground when the helicopter comes in. Because it's about the size of a beach towel.
Yeah.
And you got to do something to stake it into the ground. And all the military tent stakes were kind of big, heavy metal things. And you would have had to have a decent hammer to put them in the ground, which makes your LZ marking kit kind of heavy, big, some of those. I got to look at those, and I bought 3 packs of them. And I made LZ marking kit with those. Just so you tent down. And the nice thing about it was at night, which is when you usually do your medevacs anyway, you'd be able to find the tent stakes after you're done, even if the helicopter flipped the thing up and threw the tent stakes around.
Nice.
I never did get to play around with night vision goggles though. I meant to do
that. We have a very nice Army surplus store here, so.
We used to, and then ours went all hipster doofus type stuff to sell in there instead of actual Army Navy stuff.
Ours got
Dan,
in your.
I'm trying to figure out how to do it now.
Okay.
Where do you live, Josh? What part of Alabama?
Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa. So you ever go down to Anniston?
That's on the other side of me, but yeah, that's on the other side of Birmingham. I'm on the west. I'm on the west side of Birmingham.
Anniston is on the east side a good piece. It's kind of southeast of me.
Yeah.
That place, because of the depot there.
Yeah, depot.
Has some of the best Army surplus stores in the country.
See, is that where the Army Depot?
That's where the chemical weapons
training
facility is.
Yeah.
Right.
They moved it.
That's where
they closed it. They had the MP school and the chemical school was there, and they closed both of them about 20 years ago. And the MP school went to Fort Leonard Wood up in Missouri. And I'm not sure I think that's where the chemical school went to, but I'm not certain. And what really killed them, the only reason they closed that base, it didn't have an airfield.
Yep.
That was when they were doing the base restructuring. If your base didn't have an airfield where you could quickly deploy people, they closed it. That's that's how Fort McPherson down in near Atlanta, it got closed for the same reason. And it's got 2 big airports right next to it.
The scaredest I have ever been in my life, and therefore, in my opinion, one of the bravest things I've ever done was walk into that training facility in cold blood. So
where at?
the Anniston.
Anniston Depot.
They had just built a brand new, and I mean this thing wasn't even 10 years old, chemical weapons training facility where they used live nerve agent in the training.
Mm-hmm.
And they had just redone the hospital there at Anniston just in case something did happen while they were training people with chemical weapons. So, and then closed the base. Brand new infrastructure and
kidneys. Well, they were using
Clinton administration.
They were using live VX for decades before they built the new facility.
Right.
Because that was what I went there for a conference, and one of the things that they did for the conference was they took us around and toured the facility. So you walk into this building, and every room has a high-speed gas chromatograph sampling the air and giving you a readout of not if, but how much VX was in the air you were breathing. Not if. There was VX
gotta
in
be
the air.
Really good for your nerves.
And ain't they still breaking down some of them, some of the VX gas?
No, all that stuff. Aniston tore theirs up. There's a place up in Indianapolis.
Well, I was about to say, or is it Redstone? It's one
Redstone.
of them.
It's Redstone.
Well,
it's Redstone. I can tell you that for a fact.
I finally figured out how to share Bill's cartoon.
There is only one place where they're still getting rid of chemical weapons that is active. And I'm not sure if it's Redstone or not, but there's some place. Oh, God, it's Dugway, I believe, still has one. Or is it in Hawaii?
That might be an active place.
Dugway was mostly biological. They didn't do a lot of chemical stuff.
I know.
Well, I was about to say,
Indiana had a VX gas plant, but they shut that plant down years ago.
Well, I mean, Diedrich, that's an active freaking everything. Fort Diedrich.
But yeah, when I was doing defense work, because of all of those degrees you were talking about earlier, Dan, my branch decided that I was the logical person to make the expert for all of the different effects of the different kinds of weapons. So I got to learn things that I never wanted to know.
Well, I mean, and like I said, don't want to make it political, but you change one protein and one little chain, COVID. It's man-made. Sorry to say.
Yeah. The very nature of the what is it that they call it, the growth curve on the infection rate indicates that, because and they've looked at it everywhere in the world that it's been found. It takes exactly this long to get going in the population, exactly this much longer to peak, and then exactly this much longer to taper off.
Yeah.
So it's the same. It's the same everywhere.
It's actually got the AIDS. It's actually got the AIDS protein in it. But that came from a bat. Bullshit. Sorry.
Just gotta stop buying from those wet markets.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is, I heard Anthony Fauci talking about what they originally thought back in mid 2020, as far as peaking and then dropping again. This was back when they were more explicit on mask wearing and 6 foot distancing from other people. Now they're saying, oh, well, that apparently doesn't apply. Now they're acting like they don't know. And they're talking second boosters. They're talking a lot of things now.
4 boosters. But, well, let's see. 2 shots and 3 boosters. Or 2 boosters. But either way.
Although Governor Pritzker in Illinois said they were happy to announce that they were over the curve for Omicron. And now the spike already happened, and now they're going back down. And that virtually the same afternoon, CDC comes out and says what I just previously said. So, and this isn't really political, but there are a lot of people out there that are fearful of this thing. I have one of the people that live near me. Her son has COVID. She turned around, went to take care of him. She in turn had COVID. They both had their shots and their boosters and everything. So,
just like I told you a couple of days ago, Bill, my cousin had her shots. I think she had the Moderna shots and had her booster. She was in the ICU for a whole week. But she got out yesterday. It's not a vaccine, it's a shot. Quit calling it a damn vaccine. It's not a vaccine.
Well, the CDC, I saw a paper yesterday or today, I can't remember. The CDC has acknowledged that the natural immunity is
better.
Is far better than the vaccine immunity.
Yep.
Natural immunity from having caught it. And so if you're going to catch it, the Omicron one is the one to catch.
Josh was telling me that this afternoon on Zello, and I found that hard to believe because the way they push the vaccines, I thought, why would they say that? And they still try to get people to be vaccinated.
They need to be pushing the antivirals and everything like that. Mm-hmm. The hell with the shots.
But there's these people out there that look at these YouTube videos and stuff on the internet from these fearmongers, basically, is what I refer to them as, saying, go get yourself COVID. And then when you get over that COVID, you'll have all this natural immunity. And they're actually, I saw it pop up on my thing today in Google about someone, a young woman who intentionally did that, and now she's dead.
I didn't say go get it. I said if you're going to catch it, the one you better hope you get is the Omicron version because it's much milder.
And if it processes as a normal virus does, it will probably get more communicable but it should be less deadly.
Yes.
Going forward.
Because that is the nature of the disease. That's kind of the way the evolutionary process works.
Right. Every time it goes off and splinters, and then you went from Delta to Omicron. Now, will that mean that whatever splinters off of Omicron will be even more milder than that? Because the Delta seemed to be more deadlier than the regular COVID-19 was initially.
The way it works is it doesn't necessarily factor.
It don't mean it will, but
it doesn't necessarily
One at
factor
a
that
time.
it will be that every single strain going forward is going to be less deadly. What it
As it
means
mutates.
is that yeah. What it means is that the deadlier strains die off faster because they kill their hosts.
Yep.
If it wants to survive, it mutates to something that is less deadly.
Yep. A good parasite always tries not to murder its host.
Yes.
exactly.
So back to the vaccine thing for a minute. I know a lot of other people kind of compared by saying, well, look, nobody said that the vaccine would keep you from getting COVID or the Delta variant or Omicron or whatever the next ones are going to be, which I think it ought to be called Megatron or Optimus Prime, but that's just me.
You caught her with a mouthful of.
Did I make you spit now? We had Josh and first and then, but anyway.
You owe her a keyboard, boy.
Oh, well, I got one coming to me Sunday. It's a real Eagle keyboard, but here, okay, but seriously. So all that aside, a lot of people are saying, take the vaccine, you're less likely after being vaccinated, and they compare that with flu vaccines as far as getting the flu, depending on, because there's so many different strains and that. Now, since they don't use the live virus or haven't been for quite a while in the flu vaccines, I think a lot of people should be less worried about taking the vaccine. I mean, I remember taking it years ago, and
my understanding is that if you've had the vaccine and the booster, it's less likely to kill you if you catch it.
Yeah, less likely you'll get hospitalized.
Mm-hmm.
But
It doesn't mean that it's not going to be real unpleasant, but it makes it a little bit more survivable.
But see, the biggest thing is,
oh, he forgot what he was going to say.
The more people takes the vaccines, that is going to make the virus mutate.
Oh, it's going to mutate no matter what.
Oh, I agree with that.
They always mutate.
The hope that it would be eradicable, that's long since passed. It's out into the animal world
it's gonna be here forever now. So,
well, they done shut down the Olympics again as far as for people coming to see it. They claim that they got that variant. What'd they say? It came by mail from Canada or something like that.
Mail?
So that's what they said, by mail from Canada.
What did?
The Omicron variant, and the Olympics are now going to be no public will be invited to the Olympics.
That's been that way from the get-go.
Well, this is recent news. I just heard this yesterday.
no,
And they said only a select special guests are going to be invited, but not anybody who originally intending to go.
I did a little research, and there are only 2 chemical weapons facilities that still have chemical weapons stored in the United States. Bluegrass. Let me see, what is it called? Bluegrass Army Depot in Kentucky.
Fort Deidre.
Nope. They don't have chemical weapons anymore.
They do. I'm telling you, they do.
Fort Detrick doesn't do chemical weapons. Fort
Yes,
Detrick
they
is
do.
biological weapons.
The
Well,
important question is, are
Biological-
they having a clearance sale
Bill.
on
Yes,
them?
they are.
All right.
Biological.
What was the other one?
Biological would be COVID.
Germs, yes.
Well,
What was
yeah.
the other one,
Chemicals.
John?
Chemicals is like bug spray. Okay. And then the other one is Pueblo Chemical Depot in Colorado.
They've got old stuff out
And what's that?
in the
What's
back
that?
side of the
What's
arsenal.
that? What's that island off of Fort Detrick out there?
Oh, darn it! If you hadn't asked me, I'd have told you. Ford Island? No, that ain't right.
No, I can't ever remember.
It's got
something.
It's got Goat Island or something like that.
Yeah,
I think it's Island of Dr. Moreau.
Nixonville.
yeah.
No, that's
Bill-
San Clemente.
Plum
Billville.
Island.
Plum. Yeah, there you go.
Plum Island.
That's it.
Yes, and they do mainly animal diseases there. So.
Man, bat disease. Hey,
So the one in Newport, Indiana, basically was nerve gas. And they said that if the Russians or somebody came and was going to blow that up, that would take out a good portion of western Indiana, going south of Indianapolis all the way up. BKM and his wife Cookie would be affected up in Lafayette. We would be affected over in East Central Illinois. It was some scary stuff. And I remember driving down 63 going south, headed toward like Terre Haute or somewhere. And you drive right by the entrance there. And I mean to tell you, you don't want to pull over to change your tire. They will be all over you, like you know what on you know what.
Mm.
Did you get your duct tape back in the day?
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Everyone
it's
else
not
duct
there
tape?
anymore now, though.
I'll be back
Like I
in
said,
the
it's
day.
been quite a few years.
But in all seriousness, you know the United States made this disease. It was made at North Carolina, UNC at Chapel Hill.
What disease are you talking about?
COVID. And we sent it to China. You can look it up.
I think personally, China's just got so many damn people over there
Well, they got
that every disease.
Well, I was about to say, they send their people over here to spy and go to school. At
But
our
they've got so many
colleges.
people. If there's any disease that's going to break out, 5 will get you 10. It's going to break out in China, India, someplace like a huge population like that.
Mhm.
China,
Yeah. Japan.
China, Indonesia, somewhere like that. Japan, no. Disagree with you on that, Bill. But
Ah.
Go ahead. I don't care.
A
This
question
background?
to John.
This is from H.G. Wells' The Time Machine.
Oh, that's the young lady. Young lady, she's 90.
Was
90.
with the lovely Yvette Mimieux.
Mhm.
Was also in The Black Hole and quite a few other movies.
Bill,
What about
do you know who we protected during World War II?
I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Do you
No,
know?
I heard you say something about World War II, but
Do you know who we protected?
A lot of people.
yeah.
I'm talking about the Pacific side.
China, India,
Yes,
Burma.
we should let Japan take their ass out.
We did. Then we went back and took Japan out.
Yep.
Funny how
Yeah.
that works.
They got involved. And, well, they got involved, Pearl Harbor, then we got involved.
No, this was after we got in the war.
No, but that was the reason why we got into the war.
No, we got in the war because they bombed Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The Japanese were straight up nasty MFers. I'll say that.
Oh yeah.
Mm. Yes, I've seen the footage of Nanking.
And after the attack on Pearl Harbor, who was it over there that made the famous comment of waking the sleeping giant?
Admiral Yamato.
Okay.
Maybe. They're not sure he actually said that.
But that's what's rumored.
Yeah.
Right, or
It's
fabled.
probably paraphrased. 'Cause even though he knew how to speak English and he had studied in America,
Hmm.
he probably didn't say it that way. I'm sure.
But
I'm sure it was much prettier in Japanese.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Konnichiwa.
But you know,
So anyway, how about them Packers?
I've often wondered that about Japan. If they had not attacked Pearl Harbor and just kept going through Asia, if you know, basically the only reason they hit America, they thought that if they could knock out all our bases in the Pacific, that we wouldn't be able to blockade them and they could get their oil the way they wanted to. So
Yeah.
that was it. That was the whole thing.
If they did, they could have ran all the way
Didn't
through.
quite work out the way they expected, did it?
They could have went all the way through China. I believe. It'd have been like the Ottoman Empire, pretty much, and we wouldn't have gave a crap.
I'm keeping this out of the way so y'all don't hear me crunching. So if I start saying something and you can't hear me, remind me that it's a
Muted.
Go ahead, and say it, Mom. I'm gonna start calling you Mom. I told you.
Yeah, I got the cough button too here when I have to. No, we were well aware of what was going on the other side of the pond
You mean
way before. They you know, my grandfather and them were talking about hearing it on the news every night and what Germany was doing, what Hitler was doing.
I ain't talking about that side of the war. I ain't talking about that side of it.
It right, but what I'm saying is I think we were aware of a lot of things more than what was being reported to the public at the time prior to our involvement in the war.
They knew about the other side of it too. That good old president.
Public at the time prior to our involvement.
I was getting some feedback over there.
A delayed echo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go.
Oh, I didn't tell you I'm broadcasting from the Grand Canyon tonight.
No, I was about to say, you sound like FDR over there at a fucking firefighter. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I apologize.
Hit that mute button.
Please
I
forgive
see
me.
a bot.
Oh,
Bots.
Yeah, I tried to knock him out, but it won't let me.
where?
I see it too.
I
I
didn't
just can't do anything about it.
Top of the comments.
Oh,
840.
okay.
Get him, Bill. Get him, Dan.
It won't let me do it.
That's
Oh.
weird. Yeah, I guess I see it now.
I'm gonna have to put,
Yay.
I'm gonna have to put it
Between
in-
Sarah Heiser's two comments.
Yep, I must have missed that one.
Is that Sarah that was on our podcast earlier?
Yeah, that's Bill's
Yep.
niece,
Hey, Sarah.
Nope. She's my older cousin.
older
You
cousin.
sure that ain't the one that was on our
Yeah.
podcast earlier?
Quite a bit because
Well, I mean, that was a Sarah on our podcast earlier.
Hey, it's Bill's fan club. He
yeah.
knows who it is.
Well,
Hey,
ask him.
I have a question for Stephanie, real quick. Okay.
And Josh Josh is having alcoholic delusions now. They're kicking in.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah,
I was
now,
seeing something in the news, and I believe you can find it on the Weather Channel that says the Tonga eruption, the volcanic eruption out there, was so explosive that and this blew my mind. It's like they threw a bunch of
1,000 times.
no, it sent atmospheric gravitational waves into space, and I'm like,
That sounds like a mixed metaphor there.
yeah, I knew you'd love this one, Stephanie.
What the meteorologists call a gravitational wave and what the astrophysicists call a gravitational wave are not the same thing.
Different.
Okay. Because I was about to say, I don't think a volcano is going to actually affect gravity. I mean, that's
Well,
maybe
super
little.
volcano maybe, but
Yeah,
no.
well, it reads. Well, go ahead, Steph.
Just can you define what the meteorologists mean by a gravitational wave?
no. That's it. Sounded like they just.
No, I'm
It
talking
sounded like
about
somebody. It sounded
No.
like somebody threw a bunch of science words together and didn't know what they were
No,
talking
it reads. It's like
Corporate science.
a radio wave. It's like a radio feed, basically. It. How do I explain this? The layman terms.
It's a pressure wave.
It's
It's a kind of a pressure wave.
yeah.
One at a time.
Basically, Colorado read that. They felt that in Colorado.
Well,
when
Iceland picked up the
picked up
shockwave.
Yeah, shockwave.
The next morning.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's almost like a microwave, kind of. If you think of it like that, I mean,
you can see the pressure wave in the. Have you seen the satellite imagery?
I have
the video. You can see the shock wave moving out.
Yeah.
From the ash cloud. Now imagine that thing going 3-dimensional and going up as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a nuclear blast.
It would have been like a great big bubble.
Think about it as a nuclear bomb going off.
right.
And well, just put on the West Coast as a volcano going off. Me, you, and Dan, and Bill, and her, we'd be gone. Well, we wouldn't be gone, but we'd be under ash.
The damn windows.
We'd be under ash. I'll put it that way.
They need to come up with a new word.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I agree, John.
They need to come up with new words because gravity is something else entirely.
Yeah, gravity. Yeah, it's just like
I could see a big difference between
it's radio wave. It's like
pressure wave and
pressure. Yeah, there you go. You explained it better than I could. It's pressure. The way, yes, pressure wave.
Apparently, it has something to do with the water.
Yes.
They said it's like throwing a rock into water and it makes the ripple.
Yeah, there you go.
But the reason is it can only go so high because of gravity, and then it goes down low and then comes back up because of gravity. And they tend to basically stay about the same across the circumference or something like that. And I'm like,
yeah, there you go.
All right. I just linked you to Wikipedia over in the where I can send you comments. It has to do with
this pressure wave. I mean,
it is. It specifically, it's how the pressure wave propagates between the different layers of the atmosphere.
Oh, okay.
So yes, it's going up, and it
Airdrop.
probably actually caused a bulge in the atmosphere.
Wouldn't be a bit surprised.
So
That was a big firecracker.
But
it
well,
was, but it was still 1/10 Pinatubo.
Yeah.
and it erupted that next day.
Mm-hmm.
A second time. Yeah.
Nah, hey, we called it, or I
We
called
did.
it.
Lord. Last night I was watching something about the 6th century AD eruption of Krakatoa. Not the one in the 1800s, but the one way back when, and how it affected the climate worldwide and tree rings. They were able to pretty much uh, take tree ring samples and ice core samples all around the world and match it all up to the same. I think it's the year was 536 or 537 AD, and it's like pretty much screwed up the weather for about really
100
bad,
years.
really bad for about 4 to 5 years, and moderately bad for another 5. So it's like 10 years that it screwed things up. Um, Severe winters,
Yeah,
uh,
I
enough
was
dust in the air to dim the sunlight, sort of like a mini nuclear
I
winter.
s- well, I was gonna say normally when uh the major volcanoes go off, what's the gas that goes off, Steph, with volcanoes?
Volcanoes release all kinds of gases. So,
Well, what's the major one that goes off that affects the atmosphere?
Well, that's
CO2, carbon dioxide.
CO2 and
No, the one.
Um,
sulfuric acid.
Yes,
the
yeah, there
sulfate.
you
It's the
go. Yeah,
sulfates. Yeah.
Sulfur dioxide is one of them.
yes,
Sulfur
yeah.
dioxide. There you go. Thank you. Um,
But yeah, it will cool the atmosphere, like you said, Dan. So
well, global warming's been put on hold for a couple of weeks.
uh,
It may get worse, actually.
well, I was about to say, I mean, the globe. I mean, the Earth will take care of itself. I mean,
I paid for my global warming, and doggone
Yeah,
We
there's
lost
there's
you.
about 2 dozen different gases that typically get blown out of a
Mm-hmm.
volcano.
it, I
Yeah.
want it.
Mm,
Strangely enough, the big one is water vapor,
Yeah.
yeah.
and then carbon dioxide, sulfur, either as sulfur dioxide or hydrogen sulfide.
yep.
Then you get all your other gases: nitrogen, argon, helium, neon, methane, carbon monoxide, hydrogen, and other compounds. Oxygen, hydrogen chloride, hydrogen
Well,
fluoride,
I mean,
bromide.
well, CO2 is an we gotta have CO2 to make trees grow to make oxygen.
Well,
Yeah.
all of those were involved in life on Earth. So,
Oh yeah.
um, and I don't understand what the big deal is because geologically speaking, we've had a whole lot more
Yeah, right.
carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and it's been a whole lot warmer. And then that just
It's a
resulted in
cycle.
it is it just results in bigger plants, which in turn put out more oxygen.
Yep.
So it's a cycle. It goes back and forth.
Somebody, I was reading something. He was talking about how long ago, when Earth first started forming, we didn't have that much oxygen on Earth. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And it was mostly nitrogen, carbon dioxide. And back then, life was different.
The Green Marauder. That's what you're talking about.
I believe that may be what it's called.
I think that's the name of Carl's green room tomorrow night. The Green
Green
Marauder.
It might be.
But what happened is all these plants started coming up that would produce oxygen. And the oxygen level started rising. Oxygen is a corrosive gas. Look what it does to steel and iron. You know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but apparently, when the oxygen got high enough, it literally wiped out all these early life forms, just like dropping battery acid on them. They're gone. We don't even have fossil records of these things, but we know they exist from like holes that they left. From just you find these old rocks that had all these, and they're just wondering how they got these weird holes, and it was where whatever it was, it just dissolved from the oxygen and other things that happen over time.
Mhm.
But you're literally talking millions and millions of years.
Yeah, it started off as algae, pond scum, and converting the CO2 to oxygen, and giving rise to other plants that could thrive in an oxygen atmosphere, and animals that could thrive in an oxygen atmosphere rather than.
And then came the dinosaurs, and then came microwave ovens.
Did you know
And
that
how did those T Rexes learn how to use microwave ovens with the little tiny hands?
They didn't.
they had these
That's
little
why they went
sticks?
extinct. Okay.
They had these little sticks that they would use as pokers. The weird
Hey,
thing. The weird
If
thing
microwave burritos had been 6 feet long, there'd still be T Rexes around.
and the taco stand would look a whole lot different. Let me
Would
tell
have
you,
a trailer on the back.
that drive-through window would be a lot taller. It'd be a walkthrough.
Get it on, bang a gong.
Okay. NASA
Actually,
researchers. Hey,
Uh,
hey, Stephanie, these are some people you know. According to NASA researchers, the power of the massive volcanic eruption that took place on Saturday near the island nation of Tonga was equivalent to around 10 megatons of TNT.
Yeah.
That means the explosive force was more than 500 times as powerful as the nuclear bomb dropped on Hiroshima.
Hiroshima.
Yeah, but remember, Pinatubo was 10 times.
Hiroshima.
So
Yep.
You gotta
Pinatubo
say it
was
right.
100 megatons.
Hiroshima. Sorry.
Dan, I'm having a little glitch. I'm going to back out and come back in, see if that takes care of it.
Okay.
Bear, you ain't having no glitch.
Actually, no, he has to disappear every time we say
Uh,
TNT because the
He gotta go piss.
flag.
He gotta go take a piss.
He has to leave because he got flagged by the FBI. TNT, what are they talking about this time? Okay.
But yeah, I thought I read one earlier. It said it was 1,000 times more powerful than Hiroshima.
Mm.
That would make it 20 megatons.
Yeah,
But I imagine it's hard to tell with
yeah.
underwater. Yeah, anything. Anytime you put explosives underwater, it really changes the dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that thing was huge.
You got two different levels of pressure that you're dealing with. You've got the water pressure and the air pressure above the water.
Oh yeah, I was about to say.
I did
Stuff moves
wonder
at
about.
different speeds and different mediums.
I did wonder about
I
that.
don't know.
Being
I don't know how they
underwater.
can actually. I don't know how they can actually gauge that.
The thing is, though, a lot of that volcano I just found out a little while ago was not underwater. A lot of it was actually above water. Yeah,
It is now.
It was. It was in. It was in. Stephanie. Wasn't that in between them two islands?
I'm having a hard time understanding you, hon.
Was that in between them two islands?
it was.
It was,
in
yes.
there was like a big, what used to be a volcanic crater side, and then it went down to the south in a big arc. And where the crater used to be is where that thing popped up again.
It was a flip side. Yeah.
Yeah, I showed that picture earlier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Google.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We did this last week. While you weren't here.
That's what I get for missing staff meetings.
Well, these things, they happen.
Okay. The Hiroshima bomb was 16 kilotons.
Yeah.
Really? I thought it was bigger than that.
No, they were not very big.
No.
No, not very big.
And then let's see if I can find the Nagasaki eel.
It was almost twice as
Nagasaki.
powerful. I do know that.
Yeah.
'Cause it was an implosion device. So,
Yeah, that was the
That's a 22.
that
Plutonium
was fat.
implosion.
That was Fat Man.
Fat boy.
No,
And
that
Thin Man was the one they dropped on Hiroshima.
sliders.
It was the shotgun.
25 or 30.
21 kilotons.
Mm.
Did you know that TNT, when it was originally invented, was not invented as an explosive?
I did not.
It was supposed to be a fabric dye. It was supposed to replace saffron
Wow.
because saffron prices shot up in India, and the British wanted their saffron dyes. And this guy came up with the chemical composition for TNT. Found out it was an explosive.
You know who that was, right?
No,
Alfred Nobel.
Nobel didn't come up with TNT.
He's that's the reason. That's the reason why he established the awards.
No, he came up with nitroglycerin.
That's right.
The fertilizer.
Which is not much different, really.
They're both nitrate based.
Yes.
But the guy who figured out that TNT was explosive went to sell it to the British military. But by this time, the British military had already come up with more powerful explosives and didn't think TNT was, anything special. Well, the problem was the Germans upgraded their steel formulas for their ships, battleships and battle cruisers and all that sort of stuff like that. And because of this, the British had to upgrade their armor-piercing shells. Well, the problem was the armor-piercing shells wouldn't go through the armor with the new explosives because they were shock sensitive. So they would explode on the outside of the armor and not do the damage they were supposed to. They didn't penetrate the armor and explode.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to actually dumb down their armor-piercing rounds to get the armor-piercing round to go through the armor and then explode. And that's where TNT caught on like wildfire. And because it was so stable, it became the standard by which every other explosive on the planet is judged or measured. Even nuclear weapons are rated on how many tons of TNT that they are equivalent to.
Honey, they do that with volcanoes regularly.
Always
And I'm
wondered
looking to see what the Yellowstone eruptions were.
Come on now. We don't need to start talking about Yellowstone again.
Sure, we do.
No. You missed that talk.
She gave that talk.
Yeah, she had us all shitting the other night.
There is a Russian defense minister who not too long ago said that if they wanted to wipe out the United States, they'd just drop one really big nuclear device right in Yellowstone.
Yeah,
and let the super volcano do the rest of the work.
No, wouldn't work.
But
the topmost magma chamber is way deeper than that.
But here's an interesting one for you.
That'd have to be one hell of a bunker buster.
If the Russians go into Ukraine, the Ukrainians could blow up Chernobyl's sarcophagus that contains all that nuclear waste material.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking that's what they're going to do.
And guess where all that fallout's going to head?
This way.
Eastward, wouldn't it?
This way.
Toward Russia.
Oh, westward. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
No.
It's going to come here.
You're right, eastward toward Russia. Ukraine is south and east. Or south and west America. Of Russia. Yeah. Do I need to get another map?
Yeah, pull it out.
No, I need to remember one a little better.
It's going to come toward America, but
it's going to come all over the world. It did before when the damn thing, first time it.
Yeah.
All it's got to do is get high enough and it's all over the world.
All right, here we go. Let's see. I
I
can't.
know,
Oh,
like
that'll work.
I know John likes his maps, so
I do. Oh, I've had to work with them for so damn long. I kind of got intimate with them. Share screen. One of them. Google Map. Click on that. Come over here. Click on that. Oh, darn it. Wrong button. There we go. All right. Let's see if I can. Down here's Ukraine. Down here's the Crimea. That's the part that Russia just recently kind of took over.
Yeah.
And they are, if I'm not mistaken, they're trying to get this chunk right through here too.
yeah.
Right here. But here's Kiev. All right. Well, guess what's just south of Kiev?
Mm.
3 Mile Island, almost.
Well, nope, too far down. Let's see here.
Kiev's on the other side of that
Darn it,
river.
I used to know all this stuff by heart.
Kiev's on the other side of that river, right?
Well, Kiev's up here. Yeah, it's on our side of the river, supposedly.
Looks like it's on both sides.
Well, there it is. My bad.
I'll be right back.
Come on.
Okay.
My X-ray vision ain't working too well tonight, John.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's Chernobyl. That's the new safe containment thing.
Oh, okay.
That ain't worth the crap.
No, the new one's pretty good, but they're still worried about it.
I was about to say, yeah, they put that new cement thing on it.
But
Yeah, that'd be the first thing.
if the Ukrainian government starts to collapse, I could see somebody going up there and blowing that darn thing up and telling Russia, "It's your problem now, pals."
Well, I definitely do too.
Well, it's
So I think
certainly
one of the first things you'll see.
A nuclear suppository.
One of the first things you'll see if Russia does invade Ukraine, they'll take over Chernobyl.
Oh yeah.
They'll have to go up there and secure it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I said earlier, that shockingly, France dropped off weapons to them. So,
of course, France has been selling a lot of stuff lately.
yeah, they need money.
I think who is it? What is it? Who is it makes the Raphael fighter?
That's it. Italy.
Does Italy make the Raphael?
It sounds Italian, yeah.
Yeah.
But was it India? It's not. I can't remember who it is now. Somebody just picked up a lot of them. Turkey, maybe. I just saw that. Hang on a minute. I got to look at the news. Raphael. A Dassault makes it. They're out of France, and it's a twin. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So what's France selling planes to people?
Maybe they got something better. Maybe they just need
it's up there.
Cheap and quick.
It ain't expensive, but it's very capable. So. It's kind of a cross between an F-16 and an F-A-18. So,
yeah,
that ain't nothing to sneeze at.
No, it is not.
It's not the best in the world.
Greece just bought a bunch of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Think
How they buying anything? They ain't got no money.
Think Morocco bought some too. Or they might have bought the F-35s.
I think Greece got them through NATO.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got a discount.
Something like that.
It's like shopping at Ollie's.
Iraq's planning on buying them too.
Not sure that's a good idea. Those boys shouldn't have nothing more complicated than stones.
Yeah.
The Ukraine is planning on, part of their joining NATO, and they're planning on replacing all their MiG-29s and Su-27s with Rafales.
Mm.
Huh.
So,
I
they are
would
pretty planes.
up at a MiG if I had one, but they might not be the best things in the world, but they do work.
Hey, when your jet fighter plane can tow a tractor and plow a field, okay, you're doing something right. So, somebody asked him one time, says, "How come the landing gear weighs almost as much as the airplane?"
Because
In
we
Soviet Russia, plane landing fuel. Yes.
I'm still looking for the megatonnage equivalent of a Yellowstone eruption.
I wonder how they'd know that. Just
You can do a pretty good job of
broken crust.
there's a scale called the volcanic explosivity index. It's kind of their equivalent of a Richter scale.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say, it's kind of like EF scale and
yeah, and so you can place known eruptions on that scale, and you can work your way up, and then you can start comparing. You can start comparing damage and debris.
Excuse me.
From geological events to known historical events and get there.
oh, that felt good.
My scatterbrain just brought up something, and now I can't remember the name of the place. It is a natural nuclear reactor in Africa. Basically, there's a lot of uranium there,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of water, and the water acts as dampening rods, basically. And when the weather's dry, the uranium starts getting a little bit more active, and when the rain comes back in, it damps back down again. And now I can't remember the name of the place.
Yeah, I know. I was talking about it with Les Johnson the other night, and I can't remember. Neither one of us could remember the name of the place.
Starts with a U, doesn't it?
That I can't even tell you.
No, it's not a country. It's just a little region inside the. But there was speculation that maybe early hominids were in around there when it was a dry period and got exposed to a little bit of radiation, which caused a little bit more mutation than normal.
And that's the worst
thing over millions of years.
Worst place to have a nuclear reactor.
Well, nobody put it there except Mother Nature. It's entirely natural.
Oh,
no, Chinese put it there.
The Chinese did not put a uranium deposit in.
Well, no, I thought you said nuclear reactor.
It is, but it's natural.
It's a natural reactor.
Oh, okay.
Nobody put it there. It just exists.
Okay. Try 7 gigatons.
Good Lord, how mighty! That's
That's 5 times the amount of what we hit Hiroshima with.
5 times. It's like 5,000 times.
Well, Hiroshima was 1,000 tons of TNT.
No, she said gigatons.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. 7 gigatons.
Yeah. So the volcano that just went off was 10 megatons. And you said 5 gigatons?
Yeah.
So that's about 500 times more.
500 times, yeah.
Volcanoes do come in different sizes, don't they?
They surely do.
That would just about ruin your whole day.
Pretty much.
Speaking of gigatons, I seen a commercial for an afternoon talk show, and Valerie Bertinelli come on there. Man, has she gotten out of control.
You want to talk about her?
That's rude, Bill.
Bill, come
Oh.
on.
And just so you know, the biggest nuke that's ever been detonated on Earth was the Tsar Bomba, which the Russians built and detonated,
Yeah.
and it was 50 megatons. So
56, I think.
ish, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So
they-
so you
They're
can
having trouble calculating it because it was actually half of an atomic bomb.
oh really?
the
The original
they
design
originally
called for it
wanted
to be 100 megatons.
megatons, and they got scared.
And they got scared because they didn't have any place they could actually test detonate something that would do 100 megatons.
At least they had a little bit of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So they cut it back to about half, and it was still bigger than the half that they
Yeah.
planned on. So
Well, I mean, so some of the tests in the South Pacific were got away from folks too.
Yeah, they didn't realize exactly what that was.
Castle Bravo was the big one
Yeah.
because apparently, and literally, they misplaced a decimal point,
Yeah.
which
But
is
now
not a
stop.
good thing. Which is not a good thing to do with nuclear weapons.
No, it's not. Not a bit of it. But stop and think about if Tsar Bomba was roughly 50 megatons, give or take. Now start stacking up Tsar Bombas until you get 7 gigatons.
Yeah,
There comes that
energy.
decimal place again.
Mm-hmm.
Which that was my favorite Richie Valens song, by the way.
Oh yeah, okay. Castle Bravo.
La 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 la, Tsar Bomba.
The Castle Bravo yield.
You can tell how much I know about this subject.
I'm
was
sorry,
still-
Stephanie.
The Castle Bravo.
No,
yield-
you're not.
I'll be acting like Josh over there in a little bit. Oh God.
That's why I've been stuffing my face with chips.
The
But
Castle
I know.
Bravo-
I'm working on the Coke now.
Oh, okay.
Just to try to stay away.
Oh Lord, we're
Oh,
in for
hell,
it now. He's
you
hit
over
the
there,
caffeine.
Bill, you over there doing coke?
Here it comes the high fructose corn syrup.
I swear, if anybody ever gives him Black Rifle coffee, I am going to smack the living.
Yeah. Well,
Hey,
we both have to drive up.
I think Josh needs to go to bed.
All
Yeah.
we'd have to do is give Bill a bicycle with a little generator on it, and we'd solve all the world's power problems in one night.
Yeah.
You forget, I had buckhorn coffee before when I was a Civil War reenactor, and I can't think of anything stronger than that. I mean, you're drinking a weed.
Have you ever had Cuban coffee? That's you got to eat a piece of chocolate to be able to drink that, just to be able to finish the cup. That stuff is stout.
This coffee of which you speak, Bill, how did they make it when you were doing the reenactment?
Well, they already had it made. We went to a cotillion, and it was over there, and it said coffee, and then the other one said BKN coffee. And I'm like, what is BKN? I'm like, is that like dark roast or what? And he said, no, buckhorn coffee. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm familiar with this because,
No, it
You
was
know.
a typo. It was Brian K. Morris coffee. Stay
Yeah.
away.
no, that's BKM coffee, and you don't want any part of that. But no, and as any historian or even novice such as myself on the Civil War would know, that They smoked whatever they could smoke, and they drank whatever they could drink if it was smokable and drinkable. And a lot of them, because they didn't have a Starbucks across the road while they were marching through Georgia or anything. Bless you. So they did the best that they could with what they had.
The reason I asked was because the chuck wagon on when they were doing like a roundup or something or other like that out west, they just dumped coffee into a coffee pot, not a percolator or anything like that. They just into a kettle with water, and they boiled the hell out of it, and that was their coffee.
Well, you could tell this was boiled, but it was actually, I can't remember how it was served right now, but I think it wasn't a percolator or anything, but it was just in a big, huge, it probably was a kettle, but some metallic pot or whatever, but it was the worst thing I ever had in my life. You cannot add enough sugar and milk to this to make it drinkable. You couldn't add enough alcohol to make it drinkable either. So
it sounds like something that should be on Carl's show.
Yeah, it's very much it's the strongest thing I've ever drank, and I've drank Starbucks. And that stuff tastes burnt to me, but I'll stick with my Sam's Club medium roast donut shop coffee, and they can have whatever they want.
We lost Josh and we lost Dan.
Dan probably had to make a run. Josh probably passed out. I keep telling him he can't be holding his phone in his hand when he's doing this show like that.
It was making me drunk. And not in that way either. Not in the happy way.
I was just reading, like I said, they can't really figure out exactly what the Tsar Bomba did. They're saying 58 megatons.
Dang.
But the Soviets said it was 50. And then in theory, it could have had a yield of 100.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Down in the kitchen.
And the reason they cut it down, actually, it had a uranium-238 fusion tamper, which figured in the design, but which was omitted in the test to reduce radioactive fallout.
Holy shit.
Okay.
That somebody actually had some sense over there to realize that if they let her rip with the full thing, they'd have a mess on their hands.
Everybody would have a mess on their hands.
Yeah. Of course,
may I please interrupt? Lindsay just stopped me with something in the kitchen. There was something on the TV. Has Loretta Lynn just passed away?
Oh,
I don't know.
I haven't heard anything about it, but I've had the TV off.
Well, I'm not on Facebook or anything, so I haven't seen any announcements.
I'm pulling it up.
I am too.
I am 3.
Ralph Emery's dead. I know
yeah,
that.
Apparently, that's the only thing I can find on Loretta Lynn is that she was talking about Ralph Emery died. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so she was like,
and
that
about a week ago would have been hers, and Doolittle 78th anniversary, but Doolittle died some time back. So she was talking about that too. But I'm not seeing anything.
That must be it. She must be giving a eulogy.
Probably so. Yeah.
about. So, well, she's got her phone. She's going to Google it for herself. So,
Hey, Bill, I heard what you said, you asshole.
hey, save that language for another 15 minutes, and we'll be on the other show.
All right.
Yeah. I don't think he can.
No, I.
Oh, that thing I posted earlier, the bang-o-meter,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a device for detecting nuclear blast. So I have no idea where it got the name from, but I bet it was an Air Force invention.
Probably.
Bang.
But you know what they use to detect them, right?
Hmm.
At least anything that's not air based, is the seismometers.
Yep.
So
Well, back in the day, it was Project Mogul balloons with tape recorders and microphones.
that too.
They actually
Okay.
had an EC-135 surveillance aircraft that got in close when that bomb went off, the Zarbomba.
Hmm.
And it was so close, the anti-flare paint that they had it on, the white paint they put them on them to keep them from getting scorched
Yeah.
by nuclear blast, that paint got scorched.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the
They
stuff
were
that's
built
designed
into
not to scorched.
Okay. A bang meter. Bang meters actually have Wikipedia entry. It is a non-imaging radiometer installed on recon and navigation satellites to detect atmospheric nuclear detonations and determine the yield. So basically, it's a radiation dosimeter of sorts.
One that works at quite a distance if it's orbital.
Yeah, apparently so. Yes.
If the bang's big enough.
If
Hence
bang.
the term bangometer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really. More bang for your buck.
Developed at Los Alamos. Built in 1948 to measure the nuclear test detonations of Operation Sandstone. The term was coined by Frederick Rains, who was a physicist working on the project.
And was not the first Invisible Man.
No.
Oh, that would have been Claude Ray.
That right. Yep.
Not punch.
Claude Rains was the Invisible Man. Yes, I've seen Rocky Horror Picture Show entirely too many times.
Do you know that I have never seen it once? I've seen bits and pieces from it, but I've never seen the actual show.
If you don't see it with the audience that does the interactions, it's kind of dull.
Yeah.
Except for the musical numbers, and they don't pick up till about halfway through. When Tim Curry shows up, then everything goes haywire. But if you're lucky enough to watch it in a theater with the people that actually know the audience participation parts and all this, you kind of get drawn into it. It's this group mind all of a sudden.
I keep
And it
meaning
becomes a whole lot more fun.
Joe shows it at Helicon not infrequently, and somehow I'm always doing something else on Saturday night.
Sleeping, probably.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Stephanie, I actually saw the movie in 1976 at the Art Theater in Champaign, which if Donna or Carl, one of them are on there, they'll know what I'm talking about. Even Sarah will know it too. Very much college oriented, independent, international films, stuff like that. And we kept hearing everybody talking about it. So me and my friend decided to grab our girlfriends and go see this movie. When we showed up, we thought, this isn't a movie, this is a costume party. And why are these people over here carrying umbrellas and wearing raincoats and carrying squirt guns? And why are these people over here dressed up like, hookers? And these people over here are, I mean, it was totally we had not a clue, and we're all standing outside, and the line was going down the street around the corner. We got in to watch the movie, and yeah, the movie is crap unless you're there with all these crazy weirdos that know the movie, know every word, every line, and the storm scene. That's when you found out why some people were wearing raincoats and carrying umbrellas and squirt guns and all this.
Yes.
Then we had the time of our life. Now, I won't say that I ever went back to it at the movie theater where I knew these people were going to be, but because we ended up getting wet and the other things.
You hadn't seen it before.
No. I mean, it had even. I mean, it had been out like maybe 8 or 9 months.
Yeah. It had been gathering steam in England at a little theater over there, and then it was performed live at the Roxy Theater in. I want to say Los Angeles, but it's probably San Francisco. And then they made the movie, and then it didn't make any money, and then it went on the college midnight movie circuit, and all of a sudden people started paying attention, because it's not that it's not that the movie sucks, it's that it's so camp.
It's
It's one of those things to where once you have seen it, you can see how close it compares to Plan 9 from Outer Space and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
those movies were shown there too. So
yep, it just becomes fun, and then the audience participation took over. And that became a social movement in itself. I discovered it through the soundtracks long before I had ever seen it. So I knew every word of every song before I ever got a chance to see the movie. I wore out like 3 cassette tapes in my car singing along with the soundtrack to that and the soundtrack to Phantom of the Paradise, which is almost the same time. And I never wore a Merry Widow and fishnet stockings, but I did wear a full circle cloak and had a large spider tattooed, temporarily tattooed on the back of my hand one night. So it was kind of fun. And then there was a theater in Atlanta that showed it every weekend. And
it was down there at near Little 5 Points, and I can't remember the name of the theater, but every time I went down to Atlanta, everybody wanted to go down there and do that.
Yeah, it was near Alhambra.
I'm going to have to correct my omission here. I mean, back when Daryl and I were dating, this will show you how long ago, Daryl played the soundtrack for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the songs, and I know the story. I just haven't ever actually seen it. I mean, you've read my Displaced Detective books. You probably got some of the jokes that I threw in there.
Yes.
The 2 principal programmers were Brad and Janet.
Uh-huh.
Did you catch that? Yeah.
Hey, Stephanie, I'm gonna tell Michael Williamson that you have not seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Okay.
Oh no! Tell Fritz. He'll actually put on the Merry Widow and fishnets.
I've seen Fritz in the outfit. Yeah.
Well, I think it's no different than Deadheads getting together and going to see a Grateful Dead concert or Parrot Head singing.
Or
Josh is on his horse, and his horse is done running.
Running for the fence.
Yeah,
it was.
There it goes.
It was the Roxy in L.A.
In L.A.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get off the Deadheads now.
Hey, I is one. I can make fun of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I
Or
would-
parrot heads. Parrot heads are another one too. But
don't talk about the parrot heads.
now, so if you got Grateful Dead fans, or be called, let's see, they're Deadheads,
Hey, don't
And-
talk about the parrot heads.
and then
I like Jimmy Buffett.
Thank
Jimmy
you.
Buffett fans are called parrot heads.
Thank you.
What would you
No,
call
we don't
Rocky
talk about it.
Horror fans?
Rockheads.
You better
Or
not talk about
can
Jimmy
we not talk about this until your show starts, Dan?
No, no. The
Yeah,
official,
we'll talk
the
about it
official
in about.
term is
Well,
unconventional,
we've actually ran
which
over
is a
time.
line from the film.
We done went over time, so
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Damn, that means.
Oh, we did. Oh, crap.
Let me go kick the other one in gear. And
You got to kick this one out of gear first.
No, I don't. I can't. If
They're
I
two
wait
different
till
things.
this one comes
Yeah.
out of gear, then
Dan, you go do what you need to do. I'll end this show.
go for it.
There you go.
John said he's getting the hell out of here.
Okay, folks, we ran over because, well, we weren't paying attention to the time. Somebody,
Hello, y'all.
does nobody have an alarm clock on their phone? Jeez.
No.
Okay. Anyway,
Well, we got, instead of having the 5 minutes left in the show, we ought to have one that says, "Hey, you ran over 5 minutes."
Well, I was trying to tell him 1 minute. That's why
I would
couldn't
like
do
to
it.
thank Stephanie Osborne, Intergalactic Woman of Mystery, for being on the show tonight. I would like to thank Josh Kemp for being on the show with all the weather stuff. And I would like to thank Bill Sartain for being on the show with his Stanley Dawn bunch of pictures. I would also like to thank Dan Hollyfield for running the show over so that I get to give you this lovely monologue. Okay.
Love you, John.
And with that, we will say good night, everybody.
I can diss.
Hasta luego.
All right, see, where's that damn button? There's the button. All right. No, I gotta. Joe keeps putting all this crap in here, and I gotta find. Oh, there it is. All right. Good night, everybody.
I have slept the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds and done 100 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up, up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the windswept heights with easy grace, when never lark nor even eagle flew. And while with silent, lifting mind, I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand, and touched the face of God.